Okay, so here's the thing. I have a few big projects coming up that, one, you should be very excited about, but two, are taking me a lot of time to make. So I figured in the meantime, while you guys are being so lovely and patient, that this week's video could just be me talking to you about some of my favorite movies. Does that sound good? Some of you you don't have a say. This is what you're getting. So enjoy! Okay, so the first movie I will be talking about today, which is a movie that I'm very close to be calling my #1 movie of all time, is a lovely film by Tim Burton called Edward Scissorhands. So there are so many things that I love about this film. Hopefully you guys have already all seen it, or at least heard of it. If you haven't seen it, please do yourself a favor, give it a watch. This film to me feels like kind of its own original fairy tale. It's like a classic Frankenstein story, but it's so unique and original, and it's something that I don't think will ever really be forgotten. It basically creates its own world where you can be scared, you can laugh, and you can cry all in the one movie. I love the setting of the piece, I love the set work, I love the little town that Edward visits where everyone's all the same and all their lawns are mowed the same way, and it's really funny. But it's also really emotional when it needs to be. Johnny Depp's portrayal of this kind of lost puppy in a big world is something that really allowed me as an audience member to connect to and really feel what he was feeling throughout the film. I think the soundtrack is incredible for this film. I think this is one of the films where Danny Elfman and Tim Burton really work together perfectly to create an equally creepy yet beautiful soundtrack. Yeah, so this is a hands down 10 out of 10 for me, and a definite recommendation if you haven't seen it, which you should have. Everyone's probably seen it, but yeah, I just wanted to talk about it because I love it. Let's go purple with this one. That's very La La Land. If you haven't already guessed, the second film that I'll be talking about today is La La Land. Directed by Damien Chazelle, who also directed one of my other favorite films that I was very close to putting on this list, which is Whiplash, because I love that as well, but I thought, you know, too much Chazelle for one video, I say. I've actually got a poster of this. You've probably noticed in previous videos. I'm gonna pull this down actually. So here's our poster. My lovely girlfriend got this for me, and you can see my softboxes there. But it's basically a painting of the La La Land poster, and I am in love with it, and it is incredible. So there are so many things to love about this film, from the colours to the acting of Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling to the incredible visual look of the entire thing. It really did an amazing job of capturing that kind of old school musical style and mixing it with some serious contemporary naturalistic elements as well. This film did a really great job of connecting us to the characters. The two main characters, played by Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling, I just found them really, really accessible as people. They felt real, which is interesting because there's quite a non-naturalistic style for this film where everything's all song, dance and dreamy, but at the same time it seems so real. And because I was able to so easily emotionally connect to these characters, I still cry every time I watch it. The music of this film is another thing which I adore. I've listened to the soundtrack a billion times. I actually have the soundtrack. Hold on a minute. Here we go. Here's the soundtrack. La La Land soundtrack. It is blue, everybody. It is blue. So that's another thing that my girlfriend got for me. She knows me clearly way too well. Okay, this one I could definitely go on forever about. So I'm gonna stop it here and move on to the next film. Okay, so this next film is another Tim Burton film. Big surprise, Tim Burton is my favorite director of all time, but this film is called Big Fish. Not his most well-known film, but something that I couldn't escape throughout my childhood. Each character throughout this film has so much to love about them, and they're so unique. This is a true adventure film. And it says on the cover here, it says, an adventure as big as life itself. But it's basically a fantastic story about a man's life and how he kind of exaggerates these stories from his past. But it's done in such an epic way. Again, I think the music in this is incredible. Danny Elfman and Tim Burton team up again. So this film also did a perfect job of mixing kind of fantasy elements with reality, which is kind of a pattern you guys might be sensing in films I love. It's adventurous when it needs to be, it's magical when it needs to be, but it's also serious and emotional when it needs to be. And I think those worked perfectly in a story that has a really nice message. I won't spoil it because some of you may not have seen this, but definitely give it a watch. It's beautiful. So this next one of my favourite films is Back to the Future, directed by Robert Zemeckis. This is just so fun. It's obviously not as unique and visually pleasing as the other films, but it is just the funnest time you could ever have watching a movie. I really love some of the 80s films like Big, Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller, but Back to the Future it's so good. All throughout my childhood, I would just watch this film again and again and again, and then I'd watch number 2 again and again, and then I'd skip number 3 and start number 1 again. These incredible epic moments are assisted so well by Alan Silvestri's incredible Back to the Future theme, and they just both work together to give me chills every single time. Definitely a film that has been remembered for decades so far and will definitely be remembered for all of time because it is just so fun.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was something a bit different than what I would normally do, but as I said, I've got some big things coming up, so make sure to subscribe if you want to see those because they're coming and they're gonna be good. So follow me along. Also like my Facebook if you haven't already. I'll be posting more regular updates there. But yeah, go watch all these movies if you haven't. Make a list, add them to your list. Thank you so much for watching me rant about how much I love these films. I hope it's had some kind of value to you because these films have all had a lot of value to me. That was so cheesy.